So welcome everyone. Welcome to today's online masterclass. It's called the Advisor Blueprint. And basically what I'm doing today is really sharing a bit about my backstory. I'm an accountant by training. I've transitioned from accounting, where a lot of you are, into an advisory role over the last 20 years. So I'm going to share a bit about my story, but mainly help you with some tools and processes and frameworks to help you develop your advisory skills and also develop your advisory services that you can offer to your clients. So firstly, I'm not sure why this is not moving forwards. Welcome everyone. So I know that everyone's very busy, so I really appreciate you all taking the time out today. And yeah, make sure you've got some notepads, some paper to write notes on, because we'll be going through a lot of information, and I will be going through fairly quickly. So just a little bit about myself. Most of you don't know me. I know that you probably just saw an invitation to this webinar and decided to register. So I think there's only a couple of people here who probably already know me, but for those that don't, I'm a trained accountant. I started life as an accountant, both in public practice and in commerce. So I did that for 15 years, both here in Australia and also in the UK. And then about 20 years ago, I left the accounting profession, left corporate life, and started my own coaching and advisory firm. Okay, initially it was part of a larger group, and I was with them for a few years, learned a lot of their models and tools, and then I went out on my own and have been doing that for 20 years overall. And in that time, I've helped hundreds of businesses. The types of businesses that I generally work with, small businesses with between, say, 5 and 50 staff. So probably not dissimilar to the sort of accounting clients that you have. And over that 20 years, obviously, I've developed a lot of models and tools and processes, frameworks that I've used to help me grow my business, but also obviously to help my clients to grow their businesses. So last year, what I did, at the end of last year, I launched Accountant to Advisor, and the whole focus of that is to help accountants to develop similar skills and similar processes so that you can become more valuable to your clients, obviously become more valuable in the market as well. I know that things are changing in the accounting profession with AI. AI is only the latest technology tool, I suppose, that has changed things over the years. But more and more, I think business owners, your clients, are probably looking for more value add, more advice, and that's really what I'm helping or want to help accountants do, is to develop those skills. All right, so that's a bit about my background. And so my purpose, I suppose, as I've already mentioned, I've walked in your shoes. I've come from an accounting background, and I've developed my own mindset, changing my mindset, changing the way I look at businesses, change the services I provide. And so now I want to help accountants do the same. All right. So what I've realized is that I can only do so much to help small businesses working directly with them. If I can help accountants to develop their skills and help their business clients in a broader way, then I'm going to be able to have more of an impact as well. And I think that accountants are so well placed to offer these services and offer this advice and just help their clients a lot more than they are now. A lot of accountants are obviously busy in compliance and traditional tax work, but that is really that's really a service that maybe doesn't offer the same sort of impact on clients' businesses as true business advisory. Now, I know tax advice and those sorts of structuring services are very important, and they can obviously help save your clients money and make sure that they've got things structured in the right way. But a lot of businesses are crying out for business advice, more strategic advice, a strategic partnership with their accountants. So that's really what I'm here to help the market provide. But more importantly for today, what I want to do is really help you assess your readiness in terms of advisory, give you a roadmap to follow. So I'm going to share with you my model and the 9-step process and the 9 things you should think about to develop in your own business to create, to implement advisory services and create more value with your clients. And then at the end of today, really giving you an action plan and the next steps so you can go away with something to work on. Okay. Now, while we're going through this, if anyone's got any questions, just open up your chat window and I'll keep an eye on that. I'll be monitoring that for any questions, and I'm happy to make sure that what I'm sharing with you aligns with what you want out of today. Okay. All right. So for those that have just joined, just open up your chat window and let me know where you are, what city, and also what the weather is like at the wherever you are today. All right. So what we'll cover today, and we'll go through this step by step. Mary's from LA. Welcome, Mary. And warm, which is nice for winter over there. Okay, so what we'll cover today is, first of all, I'll go through this advisor readiness assessment. Now, I haven't shared that with you because I really wanted to just do that for people who were attending. I know a lot of people have registered. I've got over 120 people registered for this. I know not everyone turns up. So what I wanted to do was really just share the advisor readiness assessment tool with those people on here. So what I'm going to do now is just attach it to the chat. Just popping that in now. Okay, so I've just attached a PDF. It's called the Advisor Readiness Assessment. And so if you can grab that and print it out, if you've got ability to do that, or just open it up in your screen, and we'll go through that later on. All right, so after that, I will share with you my advisor blueprint framework. And so the readiness assessment will really highlight things that you need to. So we're going to rate you and your business across different areas, specifically with that advisory focus. And then that will obviously highlight areas that you probably rated yourself low and the things that you need to work on. And then I'll share with you this framework, which will help you understand what you need to do. Oh, okay, nothing came through because I didn't hit send. Sorry about that. Thanks for those that mentioned they didn't see it. Yes, I attached it but didn't hit send, so it should be there now. Okay, so open it up, print it off if you can, because I'll get you to. Yes, it wasn't just you, Stephanie. So I will get you to complete that in a minute. Then I'll share the framework with you so you can better understand, once you've done the assessment, what are some things you can do to improve yourself and your business in those areas. I also want to share with you this tool, which is one of the tools I use that I get my accounting members to use with their clients when they're providing an advisory framework. So I want to share that with you. It's called the 7 P's of Profit. And then at the end, just really help you get clear on what the next steps are, what you want things to look like going forwards. And I want to finish all of this by about 10 to, and then give you 10 minutes for those that want to stay and have a look behind the scenes, find out a bit more about the program that I run. So it's called the Advisor Blueprint Program. So it's a program I run, obviously with accountants and bookkeepers to help them bridge that gap between where they are now and where they want to go. So you're welcome to stay on and have a look at and find out more about that as well. Okay. Now, for those that have just joined, I'm not sure how exactly the chat works, but for those that have just joined, hopefully you can go back and have a look at the PDF that I shared. If not, I will add it again later on. But in the meantime, if you can just let me know where you are located, and I'll keep going. All right. So first of all, just the workbook I shared with you prior to today. You should have received that by email. So I'll just flick over to that just to make sure you've got that. So that's this workbook here. So I'll be working through this as part of today's masterclass. All right. So just make sure you've got that At least I'll be referring to it anyway, so there's no real need for you to print that out. But let's first take stock of where we are today, because everyone's in a different spot. So let's just think about, well, where is your business? And I'll give you 4 key areas that I see people normally fit. All right, so this is in the workbook. So I'm just letting some more people in. Okay, so people are generally in one of 4 areas in terms of advisory. All right, so the first is solely compliance focused. All right, so don't really do any advisory. It's really accounting, tax, obviously year end, BASs, those sorts of things. Second is probably ad hoc advisory. And that's where you don't really have any packages or clear services. You probably just provide advice around business on an ad hoc basis when clients need it. You may not even charge for that, but a lot of you probably will just add that to your normal hourly rate WIP billing. And that's the way that sort of ad hoc advisory works. 3 is regular advisory. So where you actually are having regular meetings with your clients. It could be on a monthly or quarterly basis to review financials, to maybe do other things. But it's really unstructured. And what tends to happen is this tends to fall away over time. So the members that I've worked with who already have they're doing regular advisory sessions with their clients. The feedback I've had is that they end up losing steam. They just there's not a lot to talk to their clients about, or those catch-ups tend to then end up moving towards more tax advice or tax discussions rather than true business advice. And then the last place, number 4, is where you've got really systemized and valued advisory services. And that is where profitable growth is and sustainability, not just for your own business, but for your clients. Okay, so what I want you to do is just pop into the chat box. Where are you? 1, 2, 3, or 4. Just type in 1, 2, 3, or 4, depending on where you are on that on this timeline. There's a few people at the 0.5 in there. 2.5 from Teresa, very good. It's just giving a good idea of how progressed you are with this whole advisory service side of things, or whether you're on the left or the right. Okay, so quite a few people are in their 3s, some 3 and 4, 2s, 1s. Yeah, I'd normally expect quite a few 1s and 2s, which is fine. Okay, all right, good. Yeah, no one said a straight out 4, which is probably why you're here. But there are quite a few, straddling the 3 and 4, which is good as well. All right, excellent, good. Okay, excellent. All right, so the next thing I want to just go back to my press quickly. Next thing I want to find out about, and I want to find out more about where you're at, I suppose, and what the issues are that you're facing. Quite a few of you are already dabbling in advisory. There's a few 1s, but most people are 2, 3s, or closer to 4. So what I want to just find out from you is, what are some of the current frustrations you have? Now, I've got a list from previous sessions I've run, and obviously from accountants and bookkeepers that I speak with. But I want to just look at this bottom half here, or this bottom quadrant here first. So if you can just share with me, what's been your experience with advisory, not just advisory, I suppose, but just with dealing with business clients. The frustrations that you have with them or also with your business, um, and or the industry in general and what's expected. Just wanted to find out about what your current frustrations are, and I'll just list them down, how as people share. Okay. And I suppose why you're here as well, because you're obviously here because you're not happy with something or you want to achieve more. Um, so just share. Yeah, it could be the frustrations. It could be what you want right now as well. So I'll let you have a think about up here as well. So just share whatever's on your mind. What's the current situation? Either frustrations, challenges, or things that you want to either learn today, or want to implement in your business or improve your business. I know that's very broad, but I'll just let you go for it. Okay. And I'll just jot a few things down while they come through. All right. Hard to sell. Good. All right. So these are some of the things. Hard to sell and price. All right. Good. Good. Um, yes. Clients not doing uh, following through, with advice. Client response. That probably relates to a whole range of things. It could be getting tax information or accounting information from them, not just financial, not just the advisory piece, but that's fine. Um, okay, so clients not understanding that advisory is a two-way relationship. We can give them advice, but they need some info for them. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Um, which sort of relates to this clients not doing things or following through, providing information. So clients not providing info. Um, being asked expected to do finance, admin, and data entry style tasks, even when operating as a high-level strategic partner. Okay, all right, interesting. Um, I suppose if you're charging, I think they'll stop doing that if you're charging properly, and maybe having a way to price your services based on the level of expertise. And obviously, then you need to have the right people in the team to provide to do the lower level work if that's what you want. But a part of that is, I suppose, positioning and pricing. Um, okay, so Derek, don't know how to start advisory. Yep, good. So basically, um, how to start or provide advisory. Um, Yeah, so more efficiency. So want more efficiency, less menial tasks. What else do we have here? So Devon saying usually clients are really engaged with the initial phase, yeah, but over time they become less engaged. Okay. So I suppose what's Devon said is that they're initially engaged. That's great. So you're getting engagement, you're getting this two-way street. Um, but as the business is doing well, they become less engaged, and that's natural. So what tends to happen? I'll share with you some ways to keep them engaged, I suppose, and keep them uh, both engaged and also obviously paying for an advisory service, by incorporating quarterly planning with your clients. Um, but even with that, and I've had clients come and go over the years, and they might do some, because I don't provide personally accounting services. I only provide coaching and advisory services. So I can have clients who uh, might be with me for 6 or 12 months and then have a break, and then they'll come back later on. Okay. But then I've got clients who've been with me for years and years. But I'll share with you a planning process that you can work with them on that will keep them on track, if you have this quarterly planning process. All right, so um, advisor doesn't feel efficient as compliant work will work from a WIP Bay point of view, WIP building point of view. Okay, interesting. Yeah, so I suppose it's so Ben, do you want to just unmute yourself and just share what you mean by that? Do you think it's that the advisory is not as scalable and relies on you? If you want to unmute yourself, happy to learn more. Um, so I'll just write it down here anyway. Advisory not efficient. And if what Ben means is that it's not as scalable as compliance work because it relies on higher level skills, that's entirely true. You obviously can get others in your team to help you with some of that work, so some of the background work, so things like cash flow forecasting, financial analysis. But in terms of the actual conversation with the client, it does need a certain level of expertise and certain level of skill, both in terms of business knowledge and process knowledge, but also in confidence. And so you're right, Ben. It's advisory is not for everyone. Compliance work can be more scalable, and even bookkeeping work, at the lowest level, can be the most scalable. So what I'm saying here is not for everyone. A lot of people do want to move into advisory. Others may just want to stick with more compliance and scalable work. Um, okay, Alex, going from agreeing to new process versus actually adoption, so changing behaviors. Yeah, so it's a bit like, it's been mentioned before about people actually doing things. Clients stopping work, stop work and payments, changing bad habits, how to get existing clients to charge for advisory. They think it's part of the job anyway. Yep, good. So that comes back to, I suppose, pricing, pricing advisory. Yeah, good. Um, and I think once again, this is part of, it's a little bit similar to one of the comments before from someone saying that clients want you to do more of the uh, rudimentary work rather than the high level work. Well, once again, it comes down to pricing, comes down to positioning, comes down to making sure that you're very clear with your packaging of your accounting services, not just your advisory services, but your accounting services, and then have a very clear stepped approach in the packages and what's included. But then it's up to you to, obviously police that and remind them of that, and not let scope creep jump in. All right, good. No, thanks for sharing. There's a few other things that I'll just add in here from previous comments. So compliance work can be more low margin, less valued, being underappreciated. I'll use my poor writing on my iPad. Yeah, I suppose how to stand out. So these are a few other things that others have shared in the past. Right. And then some of the things that others wanted. Now, not a lot of people have mentioned it, but more recurring revenue or adding to your current recurring revenue. Um, Obviously, increasing clients, but more so probably better quality clients. Um, and yeah, and increasing confidence as well. Okay, so I'm sure a lot of those things resonate with you. Um, and the whole area of this, increasing clients and better clients, just like any business, the more that you can differentiate yourself, the more you can develop your own skills, show people that you do things differently to other accountants, you're obviously going to be able to stand out and attract the right sort of clients, okay, and be able to price higher for that. All right. All right, better move on because otherwise we'll get a bit bogged down. But no, it's good. It's good for me to understand, good for you to get clear and probably hear what others are experiencing out there as well. All right, so So let's do this assessment. I'm just going to add it, pop it back in there again in case people who've joined more recently can't go back and see that in the chat. And I'll hit send this time. All right, so in the chat, there is the advisor readiness assessment tool, which is this one here. And I'll open it up on my screen. So if you can open that up, ideally print it out. And what we'll do is we'll just complete that together to give you a bit of an idea of what's important, what you need to develop, where you might be situated now. And even for those people that have rated their advisory journey as a 3 or a 4, you'll probably get some things here that, or realize from this process that there's more that you can do to improve. All right, so let's just go through this one by one. And if you can just rate yourself, 1 being lowest, 5 being highest. And I'm not going to ask you to share this with us. It's really for yourself. So the first is understanding the principles of success and how to develop the right mindset. All right, now that's obviously important for yourself in your own business, but I think if you can develop those skills, the right mindset, either you can then share those with clients or it will automatically come across in your conversations. Okay, so just rate yourself there. I'm a confident person and I feel comfortable meeting new people and building trust and rapport with them. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. Now, that doesn't have to be in networking situations. It could be just one-on-one. So just rate yourself there. And just put a cross, put a tick, or probably just a tick in one of these boxes, 1 to 5. I'm organized, productive, and I feel that I manage my time well, including staying on top of my emails. And why I put that down is because to be able to carve out time to focus on a new service or business improvements within your business or even self-development, you need to either become more organized or learn some tools and tricks to to be able to delegate better and carve out that time. All right, so once again, 1 to 5. So that's just some of the personal skills for you to think about. Now I'm going to go through some advisory framework. So especially for those that already have an advisory service. So I currently offer business advisory services packaged in a structured way and with options for one-off, monthly or quarterly meetings. Okay. And I'll talk more about this one-off meetings as part of my framework because I do think it's an easy way to get people to understand more about what you can do by just offering a one-off session. And that could be to existing clients, or it could even be to people who aren't even looking for a change in accountants. They may have an accountant, but you come across them, they meet you at a networking event, for example, and you can do that initial assessment, which their accountant doesn't offer. And then that can then lead them towards becoming not just an advisory client, but an accounting client as well. Second one here, my advisory services include non-financial tools and support, such as goal setting, business planning, and team structuring. Okay, so what I found is that a lot of accountants, when they talk advisory and have regular meetings, it's just around the numbers, but there is a lot more that you can be doing, and I'll share that with you. So once again, 1 to 5. I have a clear business growth model that I use with my clients. Okay, so and I'll share my 7P model with you, which is the reason I have that. It's really a tool to help businesses or clients get focused and understand there's a path towards improving what they do and how to improve and develop their business. Lastly, in this section, I have tools and training to help my clients learn business skills and implement business improvements. Okay, so it's one thing to tell them what they should be doing and providing that advice. It's another level to actually be able to give them a tool to use, a time management tool, a team assessment tool, those types of things. Okay. And then on the second page, once again, this one, I would think most of you would probably rate yourselves fairly well. So I understand the core principles of small business financial analysis from a performance perspective, not just a compliance and tax perspective. Okay. So that's things like break even, scenario planning, forecasting, budgeting, understanding how to break down a P&L into its different components, a business into its different components, that type of thing. Understand the core principles of marketing. I have hands-on practical experience and am confident in discussing marketing concepts and strategies with my clients. Now, these five, what have we got here? These five things here, actually these next four aren't super critical for advisory, okay? When I share my 7P model with you, you'll see that these are nice to haves. Now, I definitely wouldn't, I don't feel that you can't offer advisory services if you don't know about marketing and sales and systems and team, okay? Just understanding the numbers, being able to help them with setting goals, planning, that is more than enough. But down the track, as you develop your own business skills around these areas, it becomes even more, it becomes even easier then to obviously add value and attract better clients. But it's definitely not critical. Most accountants aren't doing the basics around financial advice and goal setting and so on. So don't worry too much about these ones at this stage. Next is similarly with sales, rate yourselves 1 to 5. Next is I know the steps that I need to take to systemize my business. Once again, 1 to 5. I'm a good people manager and leader, and I know the core principles of managing and leading a committed, high-performing team. And lastly, I have clear written goals and a written plan, which I review and update quarterly. This is for yourself in your own business. Okay, once again, 1 to 5. All right, now I don't have a scoring criteria. It's really just to help you think about these areas and now focus on the 1s and 2s, really. So once again, in terms of the areas of importance, I would start with personal skills. I would then probably not worry too much about these 4, but I definitely, and I probably do need to reorder these. But I think goal setting, planning is definitely important. So if you're a 1 or 2 there, I'd probably prioritize that. Understanding how to assess a business, I'll share some tools with you in a minute, but that's another area. And then definitely this personal skills development. Now, if you don't have if you're not providing any advisory services now, then that's naturally going to be a 1 or 2 here. But if you are providing advisory services and you're having a 1 or 2 here, then that's obviously an area of focus for you. Okay. So for those that do want to share, actually, just curious, what are the key things that came out of that for you? You don't have to share, but if there are some 1s or 2s that have helped you identify areas for improvement, then I'd welcome anyone who wants to share in the chat. Otherwise, I'll move on. It's really just for you, because when I share my framework in a minute, then you will see a step-by-step approach that you can use to help bridge the gap, I suppose, or to address some of these areas. So Teresa's sharing, need more tools, framework, and systems. So Teresa, is that for yourself or for your clients?
For the clients.
For the clients, yeah, good.
To offer the services, because it's kind of just I guess that's why I'm kind of in the ad hoc space. Kind of I have some, but not consistent.
All right, good, excellent. I'll share some with you in a minute. I obviously can't share all of them. It's we don't have time, but I'll share with you when I share my 7Ps model. I'll share with you the types of tools that I then provide to my accounting members. Well, that I share with my own SME clients, but also that I make available to my accounting members that they can then introduce with their clients. Okay. Stephanie saying, need to provide advisory service to my own business. Written, that's right. And that's a good point, Stephanie. A lot of what advisory is congruency. If you're doing things in your own business, if you've got systems in place, if you've got a good way to manage your team, if you're doing regular planning and goal setting in your own business, then it becomes far easier to then share those sorts of tips and tools and strategies with your business clients. If you're doing marketing, if you're doing whatever, building systems, streamlining your own processes. So all of these things, it is about congruency. It's hard to then advise others if you're not doing it yourself, or I should say, it's a lot easier to advise others if you're doing it yourself. Okay. Uh, but yeah, good point, Stephanie. There are a lot of things that I'm sure everyone needs to do in their own businesses. So, Kat, confidence in speaking to clients about advisory out of your comfort zone. Yep. And that's not uncommon, Kat. So don't feel that that's unusual. All right, I better keep going. All right, so the next thing that we've done that, you've prioritized some of those. So Matt's saying, so sessionally easier to advise others if you walk the talk. Definitely true. Definitely true. Okay, so advisor blueprint framework. Okay, so let's go through this quickly. So there are three parts in this framework. So you've got this advisor entity identity engine, which is really the foundations. It's your mindset. It's you understanding where you want to take your business. You building the confidence around that, but also putting the packages in place. So everything that you need to do before offering and having those advisory sessions with your clients. Then I this part of my model, which I call the value delivery code, and that is how you can deliver value to your clients. Okay, and I'll take you through all of these 9 areas in these 3 pillars in a minute. And then lastly, the way my program works and the way my model works is that I have a way for my members to not just deliver these, but then to continue to learn through that process. Because when you do it for the first time, if I hark back to when I started doing this 20 years ago, I didn't really know exactly what I was doing. I had some processes to follow, but now it's just second nature. And that's because I've been able to share my experiences with others, learn through that process, and basically leverage off others' knowledge as well, not just trial and error. And that's what this is about. It's about becoming masterful in your advisory approach. And the whole idea, obviously, is to grow influence and also impact and your own income. Okay. But it is about impacting others around you. And that's my focus. All right. So the individual steps within here. So within this advisor entity engine, it's about aligning your own vision. So have a think about, you've done the assessment, and don't just think about this as me sharing my framework with you, but have a think about how you can use these steps to better think about advisory in your business and with your clients. And whether or not you end up joining my program or not, at least this will give you the key components to think about and to work on. All right. So really getting clear on where you want to head, obviously improving your own mindset and confidence. And I've got tools that I use with my clients around that. But it is, I think what Kat said, getting out of your comfort zone, you need to welcome, I know it's not easy. That's why it's uncomfortable. But you need to welcome opportunities to get out of your comfort zone. Go to networking events. I always tell all my members that networking is not just to potentially find prospects, but it's to build your skills around talking to others and building your confidence. And it's not easy at the start, but it's a great skill to develop. And then working out the packages you want to offer. So this part here is really packaging your services, but then also having a simple script, simple emails to start introducing those services to your existing clients, but then also to new clients. Okay. In this part here, where you actually are delivering the service after you've developed the foundations and you've worked out your sales process, the first thing I do with my members is really get them just to focus on one-off sessions with their clients. So I've got, and I'll share with you, I'll share you an example of this. So I'll actually go to this is my member portal. And In here, there's a whole heap of training. Okay, it's a bit slow. And oops, up here. There's a whole heap of training, but then I've got these resources all in the one spot for my members to refer back to. Um, so, so for example, one of the things that I do, and that one of the things I encourage my members to do, is have these one-off strategic review packages. So this is a template that they use. They just replace this with their logo, and then obviously tweak this as needed. But I've got 3 different levels, and this is the sort of pricing that I use with my SME clients and that I encourage others to do. Obviously, it depends on the size of business, what sort of review they want. But this is a fantastic way just to get people to have a taste of advisory without committing to regular monthly or quarterly meetings. Okay. So that's just something for you to think about. And then you have these regular meetings. So it could be monthly meetings, quarterly meetings, but it becomes a natural step after doing that initial advisory or business review and planning session to move into regular meetings. Because what I do with that planning set in that initial one-off session is, and this is once again a template that I use with my clients or my members, is to complete this and map out a 90-day plan. So it's really understanding and documenting what their goals are, mapping out a 90-day plan, and then naturally they're going to say, okay, well, yeah, can you help me stay on track and implement this? Okay. So that's what tends to happen. And then, as Teresa's just mentioned, having this success toolkit. All right. So if I go back to this, so this is a template that I give to my members that they can then use with their clients. And as part of it, there's this success roadmap. Actually, I'll come back to this because I want to show this to you in line with the 7Ps model, which I'll take you through in a minute. Okay, so anyway, so that's the steps there. And then as I said here, it's about then continuing to learn, having someone that you can learn from, ideally, maybe others that you can share. So you can create your own network of accountants, of other people who are going through this process, and yeah, continue to learn and keep each other on track. Okay. And then lastly, having metrics. We all are numbers people here. So having metrics around how successful this is within your own business in terms of number of advisory clients and those types of simple numbers, but then tracking the growth in your clients' businesses as well. Okay. All right. So that's really my framework. And if anyone has any questions, just pop it into a chat. But that's really to give you a bit of an idea of the steps that you can take to address some of those assessment 1 and 2 ratings that you had. Okay. All right. So I'm at the risk of running out of time here. So let's jump into the 7Ps of profit. So one of the things I've mentioned is that it's important to have some sort of a business growth model that you can share with your clients. Okay, so what that does, it elevates you. It's not just talking about financials, reviewing financials. That you obviously can add a lot of value doing that. But if you can then show them a path towards growing their business, and you've got a model that's easy for them to understand, it becomes so much more powerful. And it becomes easier for you to convert accounting clients into advisory clients. Okay, so this is my 7Ps model. Now, I personally have had a more complex model that I've used with my clients, my SME clients in the past, but this is a model that I've developed for my accounting members. And it's probably a model that I, in hindsight, probably would have used for my own SME clients, because simple works well. So there's 4 foundations or 4 areas of this triangle. The first part is this foundational area. So it's all about making sure that you can help your clients with their profitability and cash flow. Then the second foundational area is just helping them get organized. And I'll take you through these components in a minute. And really, if you can just help them there, up to those two levels, that's more than enough. Then if you can help them grow their business and then create freedom, that's obviously the higher level areas. Okay, so this is the way it works. So down the bottom, we have pricing and performance. Understanding, helping them improve the price, how they price, ideally charging more. A lot of businesses, as you probably know, haven't increased their price. They're reluctant to do that. I know that the economies around the world are probably not in a great shape at the moment, so there's probably going to be resistance in some areas, and in some industries it's harder. But I always tell people that the profit is in the price. You can't. It's hard to make good money if you aren't pricing properly, especially in a small business. We can't obviously do the volumes that all of the big national chains do. So that's one key area. The second is performance. And what I mean by that is understanding, doing the analysis on your clients' businesses, understanding what parts of the business are working, what aren't, what customers are more profitable, what types of services are more profitable, understanding their margins and how that's tracking over time, understanding their team structure, because in a lot of cases, it's the people are the most expensive resource. So understanding all of those things, doing scenario analysis, doing forecasting, so it's understanding all of that, and that's the first level. Then to get organized, so productivity, their own personal productivity, but their team's productivity, but also the business's productivity in terms of processes and systems, just the basics. Planning, and I've mentioned to you and I've showed you my one-page planning tool. So really getting them to think about getting things out of their head onto paper, goals written down, a simple plan to follow. So they're the basics. So if your advisory service just focuses on this area below this triangle or below this half, that's more than enough. Okay. Then growth is about pipeline. So that's where marketing and sales comes in. Now, I'm not a marketing and sales expert, but I team up with other people. So I educate my clients on the principles. And one of the things I do with my clients and that I give to my members as well is, once again, in my portal, I've got this classroom. And within here, so just the way this works is I've got these advisor training modules, which is for my advisor members, but I have these other general business fundamental training modules that my members share with their clients. Okay. And they're things that you can obviously develop and use for yourself. So understanding the principles of marketing, understanding the principles of sales, and so on. Okay. But it's important for your clients to learn these things, and then you team up with specialists that can help them. Then the last two is people and process. Okay. And I think we all know that to grow a fantastic business, you need great people and great systems. So they're the last two. Okay. So as I said, I'll just share with you some tools that align with these 7 areas. And once again, it's in this one-page planning document in this tab here. So this is a bit of a framework that I use with my SME clients, but then I also get my advisory members to introduce to their clients. And you can see here, the business model focus area is the 7 Ps, okay? Pricing and performance, productivity and planning, pipeline, people and process. Now, this is just you don't have to strictly follow this, and every business is different, but just gives you a bit of an idea. And then I've got these key tools and strategies within each of these areas. Okay. So, and these are tools that I share with my clients, my SME clients, but also my accounting members. And so it is about having these tools. Now, I'm not going to share these with you, but sure, you can look at the recording, you can take a screenshot, whatever you like. But it just shows you there are things that you can, it's all well and good to tell people that they need to get organized. But what are the tools that you can give them or introduce to them to help them? Okay. And then I've got training modules to help businesses to develop their own understanding and learnings around this. And another a saying that I really believe in is an educated client is an easy client. Okay, so if you can encourage clients to read a book, listen to audio, do some training, they will learn so much, they'll become a much better client. They're the ones that start understanding that it's a two-way street, as someone said in the a bit earlier. They need to they need to help themselves. Okay, and then I've got books and things that I help that I recommend. All right, so that's the 7 Ps. All right, so for you in your business, looking at those 7 Ps, what's the number one focus for you? Is it reviewing and updating your pricing? Is it really understanding what parts of your business are working, what types of clients, what types of services, and so on? Do you need to improve productivity and planning and just get all organized there? Um, that's where I would start. Now, if you really do need more clients, some people are in a stage where finding more clients is the priority, then obviously you would jump up here. But for most of you, you probably have a fairly stable business. I would make sure you've got these foundations in place first before growing. Okay. So who wants to share? If you can just pop into your chat, what is the number one focus out of those 7 areas? Sorry, going back to this. 1 or 2 areas, if you like. But just share in your chat what the number one focus is for your own business. Forms from Teresa, so thanks for that. I better move on. But all of you, if you can share, that'd be great. All right. I probably don't have time to go through this next section in much detail, but I'll let you just add into your chat. A few people are sharing here. So Derek's saying planning. Valerie's people and processes, good. Stephanie, planning and people. Devon's client retention. Yeah, that's a good one, Devon. Just seeing where that fits in here. It's probably, I'll have a think about that, Devon, because it's definitely sort of doesn't fit into growth and pipeline. But yeah, I might have a think about where that fits in. But thanks for putting that in. Sandy's productivity. All right. Good stuff. All right. So I was going to go back to this sheet here. Where are we? Over here. And think about, well, where do you want to be? So we talked about where you are currently. So what I might do is just get you to quickly share in the chat. What are some, yeah, it's probably going to take a little bit too long, I must admit. So I might just skip this part, but I really want you to think about yourself now that some of the challenges, some of the tools. Have a think about where you want your business to be in 12, 24 months. Okay. No need to share, just something for you to think about. Because what the issue is if I just draw a couple of lines here, where you are here now, there's a gap between obviously the issues, the frustrations, and what you want. Okay. The sooner you address that gap, so if you don't address that gap, then you are going to, the future is going to become more and more difficult. Whereas if you address that gap sooner, then it obviously your future becomes better more easily. And if you don't address that gap, then in the future, it's going to become more and more difficult. All right. So just something for you to think about in terms of you've identified some areas to address. You've probably written down some actions. It's now doing those things, finding the time, prioritizing it, and putting those things in place. Okay. All right. Okay, so for those that do want information about my program, so for those that want to stay on in a minute, I'll show you the back end a bit more and explain it to you. But for those that do want information, just pop program into the chat, and I'll just send you a document that explains it all in a lot of detail. It is a very low cost program. It's $100 a week, and there's no lock-in contract, no upfront fees. So if you do want some information, I'm happy to send that to you. And that's the extent of my sales pitch. So just pop that in if you're interested in at least finding out some more information. Okay. All right. So quickly, have a think about the key takeaways and actions. Actually, a few people are writing in program, which is good. So I'll send you that information. So once you've done that, have a think about the key takeaways and actions, and I'll just recap what we've covered so far. Okay. So we went through the readiness assessment. Okay. I shared with you my framework, and I shared with you the 7Ps. Okay. So what are the key either learnings or actions that you want to take away from today and ideally implement or start implementing in the next 30 to 60 days? All right. So for those that want to share, if you want to just write it down for yourself, feel free. If you want to share, it'd be great if you can pop it into your chat. Key learnings, takeaways, actions from what we've covered so far. So once again, we went through the readiness assessment. I shared my 9-step model and also the 7Ps model. Okay. So Derek's saying start planning. Very good. We all have a plan in our heads, I think, most of us, but it is about getting things out of our heads onto paper or onto a computer screen and worksheet. Teresa need to develop a own business plan properly first. So very good. So it's very similar to Derek. Yeah, very good. All right. Anyone else wants to share? Feel free. Otherwise, I hope you've got some actions and learnings for yourself. All right. So while people are thinking about that, that's the key part of what I wanted to cover. Now, apologies for going over a little bit, but for those that want a bit more of a peek behind the scenes and maybe some open Q&A, feel free to stay for that. For those that need to head off, then thanks again for attending and taking the time out. I know everyone's very busy. And for those that have obviously asked for the program details, I'll send that across after today as well. All right. So for those that need to head off, thanks. Otherwise, I'll just go through very quickly some more information about the program and my member portal. So this is really what you get, and it's all in that document anyway. It is a group program. Couple of reasons for that. One is that it's a lot more, I can make it at a much lower fee than if it was one-on-one. But the more important reason is that the amount of discussion and sharing of ideas that I'm having within my group is amazing. Not just around advisory, but just around running an accounting or bookkeeping practice. So next Wednesday, one of my bookkeeping members who is really using Dext really effectively with her clients, she's going to share her experience there and what she's doing. But yeah, there's a whole range of things that, it's just great having that group to share and learn from and me just facilitate. So initially we have a one-on-one session though, even though it's a group program, we have a one-on-one session where I can identify what you need to develop and skills and show you around the portal in a lot of detail. You get access to obviously all the templates and tools I shared. There's a weekly meeting, Wednesday morning, Australian, New Zealand time, or Tuesday afternoon, US time. And there's a whole community forum and so on. Okay. So I'll send you that in the program anyway. One thing I do want to highlight is that anyone who signs up to the program there's a full money back guarantee. So the way it works is that at this first one-on-one session, if either of us feels that you're not going to get value from the program, then whatever you've paid up to date, I'll refund. Okay. So there's really no risk. All right. So just going through this in a bit more detail for those that want to stay and have a look. So a lot of the program is built around this client portal. And there's a forum in here where you can share ideas. I share recordings. There are any questions you have. People have been sharing their pricing models for feedback, their emails that they want to share, their proposal templates, so all of those sorts of things. And I'll provide feedback, and so will others. Then there's a classroom where it's really these 4 modules that people work through. So each of the training modules. So there's one on basically mindset. So the way it works is there's a recording, there's a summary, but then there are all of these tools that I share as part of the training. So there's all of that in there, obviously in different areas, and all the recordings are there in case you miss the recordings and so on. Okay. And so there is a whole bunch of tools that I've shared some of those with you. And they're tools that you can use for your own business, both your own accounting practice, but obviously to develop your advisory service, but then also tools that you can use with your clients. Okay. And the whole, and some people have asked, well, once I've done the training and I've got access to the tools, I don't really need to be part of the program anymore, and that's fair enough. But one of the things that I do in the weekly meetings, and you can see here's a calendar of events that I have. So these weekly meetings, it's not just you implementing the advisory services, but if you want to share specific client issues, case studies, help you prep for a client, all of that's part of those weekly meetings. Okay. All right. So that's enough from me. Thanks for staying on. Once again, if you want details of the program, just type in program into the chat and I'll send that through. And if anyone wants to stay on for a general Q&A, I'll just stop the recording now and we can have a general chat. But otherwise, thanks for attending and I'll talk to you soon.